Welcome to Not This Time. I'm Kayla Birch, and this is where we stop the cycle and choose differently. So I was on the phone with a client and we were going through this subject. And what's really interesting about this is this was not the first time this week that's happened. This is the third time that this conversation has arose in a client conversation. And so that means if it's arising in their world, it's arising in yours as well. So that's why we're talking about it today. That's why we're getting so into this nitty gritty. So what it was this awareness of how no matter how much somebody validates us, then we always reject it. So I'm going to give you like a scenario where you're talking to your spouse and there's something wrong with your spouse and your spouse says, you're not the problem. It's not about you. You didn't do anything. But your brain says, no, I'm going to keep this going. I definitely have to be the problem. And if I'm not the problem, then why am I not good enough? Then why are you still upset? Why are you still saying these things? Like, why is it not fixed? Why wasn't the spouse saying that you're not the problem enough for you? And this is that tricky aspect of, oh my gosh, you don't care that you're not the problem. What you're looking for, what you're searching for is the belief and the validation that you are the problem, because that's what you really believe. So when we think about this validation loop, I like to look at it like this, like it's a complete circle from self to other. So it's like this circle of what I think and what I believe now gets projected into the other person, and it filters through them back to me and filters through my subconscious mind. And that's what I believe to be true. Okay. So if somebody tells me I'm doing a good job, but I don't think I'm doing a good job, like I'm like, no, really terrible. I'm really an idiot. Like you're totally missing the point. You don't get it. But someone's like, you're so amazing at what you do. My brain says I'm absolutely not, because I can't accept that because it doesn't validate my beliefs. So when we're looking for validation, we're not looking to validate something we don't believe, even though we think we are, even though that's what we're chasing. Like we want people to tell us we're great. We want people to tell us they love us. We want all of those things. However, if we don't believe them about ourselves, we can't believe them when somebody else tells us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you tracking with what this looks like? So I want you to look at yourself and I want you to look at your life and this experience, because I can almost guarantee this has happened to you before, or it's happening to you now. You're going to realize this pattern because it's such a common pattern. And so you're waiting to validate what you actually believe, that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not capable enough, that you're unlovable. Whatever that is for you, you have to identify that. And then what we do is we kind of push and push and push until they kind of give us the one thing that we're waiting for. And you're like, I knew it. I knew you were mad at me. I knew it. And so then we validate what we believe. And then we may feel worse, but we also feel better at the same time, because guess what? We were right. We got it. They're mad at us because we wouldn't be quiet about it, because we wouldn't stop until we created that in our external environment. It's really powerful. So now some of you are like, no, that's not true. That's not it, Kayla. That's not what this is about. I don't do that. Okay, maybe you don't, but I can almost guarantee you do. So I want you to really evaluate that pattern, because it's so real and it's so raw, and it's generated from so many different spaces within us, and the way that we have to do that and the way that we validate it. Because a lot of people are going to say, no, I want to be loved. Like I have words of affirmation are that's my love language. Right? Raise a hand. Who has a love language that you think is your love language? Mine personally was words of affirmation. So I sought it all the time. I wanted people to tell me I was good enough. I wanted people to tell me that they love me. I wanted all of those things. I needed it. I craved it. But guess what? No matter how many times I heard it, it never meant anything. I needed more and more and more and more. Not because I needed more from anyone else, but because I needed more from myself, because I needed to believe that it was true for it to actually have been validated. So I needed to validate my beliefs in my external environment. So no matter how many atta girls I got, great job, you're amazing, I can't believe you do what you do. No amount of that really mattered, because I doubted myself. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about how we create beliefs within us and validate that in our external environment. And we do it every single time. And we do it over and over and over, because we see our world through our own lived experience. It filters through our subconscious minds in a way that is saying this is true or this is false. And it's all based off of the stories and the beliefs that you created about yourself. So when someone tells you that you're loved, but you carry a belief that you're not lovable, you cannot fully receive it. It's rejected. It's ran through the subconscious mind as if it is a lie because you don't believe it. So you're going to find all of these micro beliefs. You're going to find the inconsistencies in the way that you show up and what you think and what you believe. And you're going to find all of like somebody's tone. Somebody's tone is going to confirm the narrative in your mind that they're mad at you or they're not good or you're not good enough for them or that they don't like you. Because it's going to confirm your narrative. You're going to search for it. It's going to go through your internal filter of not being good enough, lovable, insert whatever your life is. So like, why is this true? Why is your filter built, right? I talk about conditioning a lot. I talk a lot about why you are the way that you are. And it's based off of your conditioned and your lived experience, your perspective of the world. So someone raised in a household where love equaled having to prove yourself, they will likely only feel validated when they're overgiving and not when they're simply being. Like when you had to prove and show your love, do you really think you're just going to be able to simply be yourself and accept love? No, you were conditioned to give and give and give and give and give to be able to receive. So we have to understand this concept of what your filter is, of what you've created about your life. And so you're not waiting for that validation. You're waiting for a very specific kind of validation to prove that your worst fears about yourself are right. That is pretty much it. Like, it's almost as simple as that. Like we don't get much more in depth than like, oh my God, I'm waiting for every thought I've ever had to come true in my reality. Because that's what you're looking for. So there's so many different ways that this shows up. So we want to control our own narrative. And the narrative that you might have may not be what feels like the most supportive for you, but for some reason it is. It is a safety net. It's something that feels really good and juicy, and that's okay. It's validating and confirming a paradigm that you have about yourself. I can't stress that enough. So if you're the problem, at least I have something to fix. I can control that. I can control that narrative. I knew they didn't like me. I knew I wasn't good enough. I knew I wasn't that. And that is so much more powerful, because if that's not true, then like, what is? And so your brain's going to look for it to be true, because that's less scary than you believing something else. You believing that somebody loves you, yet you're still waiting for them to leave. So the problem is when we start to create these narratives, when we always look for it, right? When we're always looking for it. So this is so true in our relationships, very specifically like what we're talking about, but it's so true in other areas of our life too, like our business. Like when we're growing a business, we're looking for this as well. Like we can't celebrate a win, because if you're validating that, then it's not enough yet. You have to keep proving yourself over and over and over. And it's just not, or if I'm successful, if I accept this as a win and someone says, good job, and oh my gosh, look what you've created, and I accept that, then it's like, oh my gosh, and that doesn't align with the beliefs that I hold about myself, that I can't do this. That I'm not capable. You're just going to keep proving a story just because it feels familiar, even if it's painful. And even though it's not true. And you're going to keep looking for it in parenting, right? Constantly looking to prove that you're messing up, constantly looking to prove that your life is chaos. You're always going to see that and feel that. Like those are those things that we don't always put our attention to, but they are so freaking powerful. And they operate so much within us. So what would happen if you just stopped asking, do they love me? And started asking, why am I always looking for ways that they don't? And then the next time someone validates you, instead of looking for why it doesn't count, like look for, what do I actually believe to be true about this? Why is this something that I actually believe is true about me? And we start to bring that validation here. Like I was saying earlier, for me in this experience, it was so visceral because I felt like I needed so much validation. Like I felt like I needed so many people to tell me that I was good enough and capable enough because I never felt that way. Because I felt really dumb. I felt really stupid. I felt really all of these things. And so I was always wanting other people to tell me, but it didn't scratch the itch that I had. Make sense? Because it wasn't their approval I was seeking, it was mine. I was trying to outrun my own judgment of myself. And this becomes really, really strong. So if you're in a service-based industry, this is massive. This is a massive thing that you have to fight through because guess what? In service-based industries, there are things like testimonials. I'm a coach. I work with people. And people have their opinions and people have their testimonials and people have that and they have their validations and then they have their complaints. Those are all very true. And so what I was noticing is that when I first started this, anytime somebody would say something like, "Oh, you're doing so great. Like this, you're changed my life." I'd be like, I would like try to convince myself. Well, of course I did. I would take credit for that. Yeah, I did. I'm good at what I do, right? All of those different, that dialogue, that energy that comes behind it. Yeah, of course. And so then if somebody would say, "Oh, but you're doing a terrible job. Like this was not what I wanted. Like not what I expected, like whatever, I would be like, "Well, that's on you. That's on you." And so it was an interesting concept because one, I couldn't fully accept that somebody thought I was doing a good job. Even though I tried to convince myself that I did, that I thought, "Oh, yes, I'm good. Yes, I'm good. I'm the best at what I do." And then the first time someone says no, I'm like, there it is. I knew I wasn't good at this. Oh my gosh. Even though I tried to say it was their responsibility, deep down in my subconscious mind that then became my conscious mind, I thought, this finally proves that I'm not good enough. This finally proves that I've been right the entire time. So one negative testimonial will outweigh all of the other positive testimonials in my mind. And this right here is a very tricky slope when you are always waiting for validation from the external world. Like I said, in this type of industry, you get validation from the external world, but what you have to learn to do is not accept any of it. So anytime you get like a positive testimonial or somebody, you don't have to be in business, right? But this is what we're using as reference. So anytime that someone says something positive about you, when it filters through your mind, you say, "Do I believe this or do I not?" And that's your opportunity to dig deeper, because if you don't believe it, you can say, "Why not? Why do I think I didn't do a good job? Why do I think that they shouldn't be saying, 'Yes, you're the best'? Why do I think that? What belief am I trying to confirm? Am I still trying to confirm outdated beliefs that I'm not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough?" Like that's bullshit, guys. Move on. Move on. Allow yourself to be successful. Allow yourself to be good at what you do. And that only comes from you feeling that and experiencing that. So when we're always waiting for somebody else to tell us good job or bad job, we're always going to find the opposite of it, if you will. Like if we want someone to tell us, "Okay, good job," well, we're going to find all the reasons why we did a bad job, or the other side around. And so this is such a powerful way to start experiencing and stop looking for other people to validate us by realizing that we can only validate ourselves. And anytime we say yes, anytime we feel love, anytime we experience that, it always comes from within. And the example I used on a call today was, okay, so if you're having a conversation with your spouse and your spouse is saying like, "Oh, you're not the problem," but you're waiting to be the problem. Like you're trying to figure it out. You're waiting to find that little subtle hint that you are actually the problem. That's what you're going to believe. So when you find it, you're like, "Oh, I knew it was right." However, if your 4-year-old granddaughter comes up to you and is like, "Hey, I love you so much," you're like, "Oh, thank you." And you feel that love because you weren't waiting for them to tell you something different. You weren't waiting for them to secretly reject you. That's not what you were waiting to validate, like you are in the stories that you've created in your relationship. So this is very specific to the individual. So if you're listening to this and if you listen this far, you're like, "Yeah, some of it lands, some of it doesn't." Yeah, because it's very specific to you. You have to figure out what narrative you're always validating when it comes to the negative narrative, because that's really what we're talking about. We want to get rid of those negative narratives, those narratives that really actually disrupt our ability to be, at peace or happy or just in a neutral state. And so what is that negative narrative that you're always trying to confirm through somebody else? And how can you now change that? How can you shift that in the internal world to do something, to believe something, and to experience something different? Like, it's almost like, I want to say, like, as simple as that. Like, just do that. Just realize that you are doing this, that you are leading this way, that you are creating these paradigms and these beliefs and this validation from the external world. And then say, how do I want to do it differently? Not this time. I'm not going to fall into that trap that I need to prove that I'm not good enough. And now I can start to prove that I am good enough, not because somebody told me, but because I actually believe it, because I can leave that belief behind. I don't need that external validation. I just need to validate myself. I just need to stop judging myself so harshly. I just need to create the life and the experience that I want by changing my relationship with my thoughts and my beliefs about myself. And when I spot them, then I can move them, right? Then I can change them. Then I can do something differently. Like, that's what we're talking about here. That's the power that you get to have. That is that beautiful thing that has come up so many times in my client calls over and over and over that I want you to experience too. I want your not this time moment to say, I don't have to believe that anymore. I don't have to validate that. And I sure in the hell don't have to keep pushing for it and waiting and creating the circumstances for somebody to now validate my negative beliefs about myself. I get to choose something different. You get to choose something different. So that's our episode for today. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you take something away. And I want to hear your not this time moment. So drop that in the comments. Send me an email. Let me know what your not this time moment is. Let me know what you're done validating in your experience, or what questions you have on this, because this is, again, very personalized. If you have a question, send it my way and I'll answer it on the next episode. See you next time.